Welcome to Good Grief, the podcast where resilience meets reality. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Malone. In this podcast, we delve deep into the stories of individuals who've triumphed over tragedy, adversity, and trauma. In every episode, we bring you raw and honest narratives from guests who faced life's most challenging moments head on. Through candid conversations, they share their journeys of resilience, shedding light on the strategies, mindset shifts, and support systems that empowered them to rise above their darkest hours. Join us as we explore the profound depths of human resilience and discover how, even in the face of life's toughest trials, there can be light, growth, and yes, good grief. Okay, listeners, thank you so much for joining me for my episode today. My guest is Jen. She's the founder of It's Lifey, and she's going to share with us her very personal story of loss after losing her husband, Jack, almost 10 months ago, so fairly recently. So, Jen, if you would like to introduce yourself and tell us about yourself, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Thanks everyone for listening. As Christine said, I am Jen. I live just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. I have three wonderful kids, one who's home from college and jumping down the stairs right now. I have two dogs. And I share a lot about the fact that I hate how I got where I am, but I'm here. And so what am I going to do with the time that I have in the present moment? And that's why I'm here to share my story and to talk about my new purpose-driven company that I'm putting together in hopes that we can connect with each other. That's really what it's all about, is connection.
So let's start out. Tell us a bit about Jack. What was he like? What did he do? How long were you married?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. So one of the things I always say when people ask me about Jack, and I know it's a little bit backwards to say this, but we had almost over 900 people attend his wake.
Wow.
And I share that because it shows what a profound impact he has had on so many people's life. And it's heartbreaking to know that that's what it takes to see the love, but it's definitely a way to quantify, the impact that someone has made. He too is from Massachusetts. He went to Georgetown for college. I often joked with him, and still do, that I married him for his friends because he had this amazing group of friends from both high school and college that he talked to 150 times a day. And he was magnetic. He was charismatic. I don't know anybody who didn't love him. And he had been through a lot of trauma in his own life too. And he was very good at, another thing I often said was, it's really impressive how much you cry. He was really good at emoting and really good at sharing where he was at any given time. He worked in the lumber industry for a while. He worked in technology and then in a family business. It was a lumber yard. His dad passed away and he took over the lumber yard, and due to some family complications, he ended up leaving and starting a technology company that was in the construction industry. And so he actually owned 5 franchises of a company called Multivista. And that's, where he was in his life when he passed.
Wow.
But even just thinking about him just, lights up my world.
Yes, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. So you were traveling, you were out in the country when he passed away, is that right?
We were. So we had been planning a trip to Greece for about a year. I say we, meaning I, because I was like crazy about, I had a spreadsheet going. I had everything you could possibly imagine to plan this perfect vacation for us. It was the first time either of us had taken 2 consecutive weeks off of work, probably in our entire careers.
Wow.
And so we left for Greece, flew into Athens, spent a day or two there, and then went over to Mykonos, which is an island off the coast of Greece. And it was there that he passed away on day 4 of our 14-day vacation.
Yeah.
We had gone out for dinner, we had gone dancing. It was a beautiful night that we had. We went to bed just like any other normal night. And he woke me up at about 4 in the morning and he said, "I think I'm having a heart attack." And so I ran downstairs, got the hotel said we have to call 911.
Hmm.
And the guy looks at me and he goes, "You're on an island during off season. We don't have 911." And I said, "Well, call the medics, call somebody because my husband is having a hard time." And this really kind and patient gentleman who was the manager of the hotel ran back up with me to his room. And within a couple of minutes, he was gone. The medics arrived after the fact. They did what they could. Um, and I, about an hour and a half later, found myself in a police station being interrogated in Greek because he had passed away in a hotel room and I was there. And so they needed to, and I understand it was horrible, but I understand. And so, thank God the US embassy was really kind and really helpful. This gentleman who managed the hotel was really helpful. And, my family was on alert. And somehow I made it through those 48 hours where I got on a plane by myself to head back to the US. And, I often say, like, the shock of him dying and watching a human being die who you love was was so traumatizing in those first 48 hours, but I was a little bit numb. It was when I sat down on the plane and had to come back that it all kind of began for me.
Yeah. The
So,
reality sort of starts to sink.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The reality of it
I
all.
think that numbness period is the body and brain's way of surviving though. So I
I
think
agree.
in my experience that numbness and I can think of times in my life where I just didn't even know what I was doing for that numb period. I think that was really a defense mechanism, if you will, because the brain simply can't take all of that.
And the numbness doesn't go away either. It ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
I've learned that through even just these last 10 months. There are still times where I'm blocking everything out.
That
So
gets better. I want you to know that that definitely does get better. I know for me it was memory issues as well, where I couldn't
Mhm.
remember certain things. I had one instance where I drove was borrowed a car. I was living with my mom when I first came back after my fiance died, and I drove her car to the shopping mall, and I came out and I couldn't remember where I parked. So I'm having a bit of a panic attack, and the security guy comes over and says, "Well, what kind of car are you driving?" And I said, "I don't remember." And he looked at me like, "Oh my goodness, this lady is," and I thought that was my brain. It was so fogged for a while. So,
I can't
that
believe you
was
just shared that because that literally happened to me the other day. Not even.
telling you, I'm here to tell you, and it bothered me a lot, mostly because I'm a very busy person and I got so much going on that I thought I can't handle it if my brain isn't going to work like it did anymore.
Mhm.
And it did come back. So just know that. I'm glad that the car story resonates with you because it was a terrifying moment. And I was so, I don't know, I just felt so vulnerable because I have no idea what car I'm in. I don't know. Anyway. So you have started, I know you have a retreat coming up for this it's Lifey. So tell us a bit about that, kind of where the thought process came from and what your plans are.
Absolutely. So, about 5 months after Jack died, I had the opportunity to go on a retreat to Costa Rica. And I just needed to get out of here. I needed to get out of my town. I needed to get out of my state. I felt like there was plates spinning all around me and I needed a break. And I told my friends and family, I said, "Please don't call me. Please don't text me unless it's a grave emergency." I set all the kids up with emergency contacts and away I went. And it definitely served the purpose of a break from life.
Mhm.
On my plane ride home, what I was thinking to myself is while the women that were on the retreat with me were lovely, they were also 20, 25 years younger than I was. Their reasons for being on the retreat were very different than mine. It was a yoga driven retreat. I'm not really a yoga person. And so I thought to myself, I have worked in PR and marketing for 20 plus years. I've planned a million events. Why can't I have a retreat for people who are going through the same thing that I am?
Right.
And I have a lot of energy. I moved pretty quickly, and within 6 weeks of that retreat, I had found a beautiful home in the Berkshires in Massachusetts, which is where the retreat will be hosted. I had found a chef to cook us meals, and I spent a couple of months looking for who I thought would be the best speakers to come and join us. And I've been incredibly selective about who these people are. I remind people this retreat, it is not a wellness retreat. We will not be eating healthy the entire time. There will not be any yoga. This is a like, get real. get down and dirty, cry, scream, yell, dance, whatever it is that you need to do. And it's also, I also talk about it as a vacation slash support group because it is. It's not very scheduled. There's a lot of free time. The house is beautiful. The area is beautiful. Like, I want you to have that break that I had in
Yeah,
November because God knows that so many people going through this process need it.
you do.
There's a lot of chaos that comes with death
Absolutely.
and grief. And, sometimes you just need some time to yourself. And if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. I really do believe in that. So that was kind of the beginning of the retreat process. And, pretty quickly into it, I said, do I really want to continue doing retreats after this? This has been a passion project. It's been very healing for me. I've had the opportunity to talk to so many amazing women, whether they're coming or not, doesn't matter, like just to share my story and hear their story and connect. And I'm constantly texting with these strangers that I met because they expressed interest in coming. And it's amazing. I've loved it every moment. But it was really like, where do I want to take this company overall? And so I created an LLC and I created a mission for the company. And the mission is to connect people going through life transitions
Hmm.
so that they can support each other.
Yeah.
And I do believe that retreats will always be a part of what I do. And the retreats will definitely focus on different topics, different areas of grief, which I know you talk about a lot. In the future, this one was just very near and dear to my heart, obviously. I've been going through it as we speak and, doing something for young widows. And I use the word young a little bit lightly because I've had people say, well, I'm 65 and is that young? Oh, of course.
I,
But
I
really,
saw that.
I was able to participate in other grief groups and it's different when you've lost a spouse versus a parent or a sibling or a child. I mean, that's a big differentiator. It's also different when it's sudden versus someone who had been, sick or ill for a long time. And in my case, Jack and I, this was my second marriage. So I'd already been divorced. And this is my second marriage. We'd only been married 12 years and we had 3 teenagers. And so a lot of the women that I've spoken to also have children
Mhm.
and also have that chaos going on. And they're like, we don't even care about the support part of it. We just want to get away. And that's how I felt.
Yeah.
And then the added bonus is the fact that you're there with people that get what you're going through and they can support each other through it. And then the icing there, the cherry on top is the fact that I have speakers from all over the country and actually one from the UK who will host hour to an hour and a half sessions throughout the retreat. Well, they will share their stories and they'll each have something, a common thread that or relationships, topics that are relevant to everyone. And so that's really my dream for this retreat. And just, I hope people will join me.
You have it scheduled for July 11th through the 14th of this year, and you already mentioned it's in, remind me again, Berkshire? What's
It's in the Berkshire Mountains, which is about a 2-hour drive from Boston Logan Airport and any of the New York City airports. So it's very easy to get to. I will help with transportation from the airport to the destination. That's not a problem. And yes, it's the 11th through the 14th. Most people arrive on that Friday morning. Programming will be from Friday night through Monday morning. I have shared if people want to stay over Monday night, they're more than welcome. I just won't have anything going on.
Yeah,
And you might get roped into it with me. But
yeah, there you go.
so that's really the purpose of it is just to help people get out of the grind
Yeah,
and feel supported.
yeah.
And, I do believe problem shared is a problem cut in half.
Mhm.
And hopefully opening up and sharing will be a central part of this. And so
I know
that's my
you got
plan for right now.
I know you've got it listed as for young widows, but is it for people who've lost their spouse within a certain period of time? I mean, is it like newly widowed or
Yeah, I have given a some guardrails on up under 10 years, because again, I feel like that is where some of the differences are in your journey. That being said, I'm very inclusive, and if it's 11 years, I'm not going to turn you away. Just like if you're over 60, I'm not going to turn you away. I think, what you'll find when you go to my website is that there's an interest form versus a commitment form.
Mhm.
And, I really want to learn about you. I will call you. We'll have a conversation. I want to make sure that this is the right decision for you. It is, it's a significant amount of money, and I want to make sure this is right for you. And I also want to make sure that everybody has kind of the same vibe. I want to make sure that we will all connect. And so again, I'm being very cautious and particular while also being really inclusive. And so I have set guardrails, but they're not hard and fast.
Yes. Well, we are going to put a link to your website in the podcast notes. So if anyone's interested in hearing more about your retreat and the work that you're doing, they can find you and reach out. So I'm glad that you are sharing that with us because I think that's going to be a great one for people.
Definitely. And all you have to do, it's really easy. You can click on a form. It's a Google form. I would check it every couple days and I will reach back out to you and we'll talk about any questions you might have and kind of talk through it. I will be next week announcing my speaker. So that's going to be really exciting. And so there'll be a new link on the website that will take you to the speakers that I have. So that's going to be an exciting announcement. And then I'm still kind of figuring out where It's Lifey goes. And I'm actually going to be hosting some focus groups over the next month with my widow community. You can also find that link as well to learn what was your journey like? What did you do? What did you wish you had? What was your greatest joy? What was your greatest fear? And so I can create something that is most valuable for this community. And, I talk about widowhood right now. Again, I'm in the thick of it. It's really a focus area, but I hope to create connections for people who've been through divorce, who have lost children, who have children with disabilities. Life transitions applies to everyone. Nobody goes through life without any sort of scary or joyous transition.
Yeah.
And, I often say there's no playbook for life. The only playbook we have is each other.
Yeah.
And I really, truly believe that.
Well, I have found that the people that I meet, especially on my podcast, that are the most passionate about these types of projects are the ones that are really going to change the world. So I appreciate what you're doing. And I think the women who are going to go to your retreat and future retreats are definitely going to be in for a treat. Because yes, that is very helpful. I love the idea of people sharing and like giving advice to one another. If I'm further down the road than you are and saying, I did this and I regret doing that, or I wish I'd done this, or something like that. And especially, I'll throw out there, I don't mean to seem sexist, but women, we tend to take care of everybody else around us. We're the caretakers of our family for the most part. And a lot of women, especially with children, when they are widowed, that's their focus on, how do I get my kids through? How do I get this done, and then not takes care of themselves as much. So I'm sure that's going to be part of what.
Absolutely. I in fact, originally I wanted it to be co-ed. Um, And I actually, as I thought through it and as I talked to more women, I realized that I was going to keep this one. But I do really, really hope to do one for men moving forward because I do find men have a hard time talking about and sharing things. And I think that this kind of environment where it's, 10 to 12 people staying in a home together could be really comforting as well. And so you're right. I have decided to stick with women who are heads are spinning right now and need a break, but I do hope to expand it to men as well.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share, Jen, before we go today?
No, I really believe in the power of connection and I really believe in the power of sharing and sharing your stories. As difficult as my story and my journey has been, I'm here. And so what can I do with the time that I'm here? And I've always considered myself a connector throughout my entire career. In fact, I was joking with my daughter the other day that I should have named my company I Know Someone Who Knows Someone because that's just how I am as a human. I love connecting people. And so I feel really blessed that I get to connect people who are going through these transitions and who, I can really relate to. And hopefully they'll relate to each other and feel this powerful bond when they leave and be friends forever. Who knows?
That's what I'm thinking. You're gonna end up with lifelong friendships with.
I hope so. I really hope so.
I can't see it happening any other way. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today. I really appreciate it. I am so excited about the work you're doing, and thank you for that, because there's definitely a need for something like this for sure. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Good Grief. We hope that the stories shared today have inspired and empowered you on your own journey of resilience. If you want to dive deeper into the themes of trauma, tragedy, and survival, be sure to check out my memoir, The Day I Became the Spider Killer, a memoir of trauma, tragedy, and survival. In this book, I shared my own raw and honest experiences, offering insights and strategies for overcoming life's toughest challenges. You can purchase the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or listen to it on Audible. Your support helps us continue to bring these powerful stories to light and spread a message of hope and resilience. Stay tuned for more incredible stories on our next episode. Until then, remember, even in the face of life's toughest trials, there can be light, growth, and good grief.